Yeah.
My name is Eve Wilson, and my project was on the crisis in Haiti. Next slide. Our focus question was, how can developed countries help pull Haiti out of their current hunger and poverty crisis? Next slide. Sorry. Haiti is located in the Caribbean on the island of Hispaniola, also next to the Dominican Republic. So it's on like the coast, and this is why, as you'll see in like the other slides, they're really affected by natural disasters. Our first focus was on natural disasters there. In 2010, there was a 7 magnitude earthquake. It killed over 200,000 people, and because of the lack of funding and they were very established in the first place, when this hit, it was very hard for them to try and get better from it. And then as they never really made progress, but then 2016 Hurricane Matthew hit. This was Category 4 hurricane in October 4th of 2016. It killed over 500 people. It destroyed over 175,000 homes, 100 homes. 1.4 million citizens needed immediate assistance following it, and approximately 90% of all their livestock and crops were lost. So obviously it's really hard to try and build yourselves up as a country and get out of all of your issues when you keep getting hit with natural disasters. And these are things you can't even control, no matter how much government funding and how safe or unsafe and all these factors come into it. You can't really control them. Another huge issue in Haiti right now is gang violence. Government officials have used gangs for the last couple of years to try and gain political control. And then even with these corrupt officials, they aren't punished for anything. They just keep going as normal. And kids of all ages have been seen in these gangs, and they have been faced charges such as rape, arson, and murder. More than a dozen armed attacks on the people have happened since 2018, and these are just the gangs creating violence and attacking the people, and there's no one to really stop them. They stop when they get bored or they have some type of conflict that it's for their better interest. And over 600 people have died or disappeared as a result of this gang violence. Right. This is one of Haiti's biggest issues, is the hunger there. Haiti's GHI, which is Global Hunger Index, is in the bottom 10% of all countries in the world, which is just like, it's very, America, we don't think of something as food as something we take for granted, and people here, 1 in every 5 kids in Haiti is experience stunted growth, and that's the reduced growth rate of human development. And undernourishment is always super high, and half of Haiti's population is malnourished. So we just take food becomes so easily too. They had like the 90% of their crops and everything were taken out in the natural disasters, and they can't do anything to help it. This is a chart we looked at. Something I noticed about this chart is that undernourishment is always super high, no matter this year it's almost over 20 years, and it's always almost 50%. There's 49.3 is the lowest, which I thought was really like, it's not getting any better, and it got worse for a little bit. But all of these, in 2010, I noticed it was in between. They had the earthquake in 2008, but all of these in 2010 were almost really high for all of them. For this one, it's the highest for this one. It's pretty high, and then almost like they're just even 2 years later, they're still really suffering from these same things they were suffering from 2 years ago, and then still even now, they are slowly going down. And I believe that because they went from 2010 to 2019, over these years is when the developed countries started coming to Haiti and started setting up these programs that I'll talk about in a minute. And that's my feeling, that they're starting to go down because of their help from these developed countries. So it is making an impact. Another huge issue is poverty. 59% of Haitians use less than $2 per day for living costs. That's like what they have a day, basically. Is this statistic is basically saying they spend almost $2 a day on their cost of life. 29% of Haitians live in extreme poverty. This is like they don't live, their shelter is maybe a couple huts or something, like they aren't very established. Little to no access to clean water. This 1 in 2 Haitians use dirty water. In the 2000s, there was a cholera outbreak, and it's basically a bacterial infection in the water. And this is another reason they don't have any health. Their hospitals and everything were ruined in the earthquake, and they haven't been able to build them back up with lack of funding and support. So many people have these bacterial infections that they can't. It's in their water, so they can't exactly not drink water, but it's all they have. And approximately 2/3 of the population does not have formal jobs. Our recommendations for answering our focus question, which was what can developed countries do to help, they can help develop educational systems. There's peace groups and the Peace Corps and stuff like that that go to Haiti and help build schools and learn different languages to try and teach kids whatever they can. They can teach methods of farming rather than just giving food, because they lost all of their agriculture and that stuff in the earthquake and the hurricane. Instead of just giving them food, we can help them reestablish their farming and their process of growing things. And we think that would also help them learn how to provide for themselves again, or help them provide for themselves. Lower tariff rates to increase jobs. Create jobs by purchasing goods from Haiti. If we help them grow stuff that we can't grow in America, it's something that we can help them with, where we can import them and they get the money from that. In short-term help, so Haiti does not become entirely dependent on developed countries. It's kind of what we were like. Instead of just giving them food, they're relying on us for their food source. Helping them grow food and stuff like that can help them develop as a country. Utilitarianism is the moral theory that whatever produces the greatest overall amount of pleasure or happiness. This is developed countries helping Haiti would produce the greatest amount of pleasure and happiness because it benefits Haiti, and it outweighs the cost. We're spending our money on them, but it's helping us in different ways. And Haiti and the developed countries can work together to find a solution that helps both sides. And then the other focus on ethical egoism was ethical egoism. This is a moral theory that states each person acts in their own self-interest, and this is basically saying someone would say countries should be more concerned with their own countries, or Haiti can solve its own problems and we don't need to help them. We're different countries, we have no relations with them. That's next one. I'm super excited. Any questions?
So you said that Haiti went through a lot of natural disasters. What did they do besides the government helping them and other countries funding them? What did they do to make it better before the second earthquake happened?
I believe they tried to build up as much as they could, but just because the government was poor, they didn't have the money to really rebuild everything. That's the hospitals and stuff. It took a while for those to start getting started up again, and then the other natural disaster hit. The Hurricane Matthew hit. So I believe any country would, they were just trying to build themselves back up again, schools and food and stuff like that. But with the natural disasters hitting again, it didn't help very much.